Welcome to a new anime review series. This is a review of a series known as Isekai Quartet. Yep, this is a crossover series with 4 different anime that are adapted from light novels. It's a crossover between, get this. Now, the first 2 of the series I have watched, the other 2 I haven't. Now, I have heard 3 of these series. The 4th one I never heard before prior to this one. The series they cross this one is Konosuba, Overlord, ReZero, and the Saga of Tanya the Evil. By the way, Tanya herself was voiced by the awesome Monica Rial, who actually reprised her role from her own series. Now, no, I've never watched Tanya the Evil, and I never any light novels or any of the manga the series has, but I'm gonna do it soon because basically this anime got me interested in basically the character. As for ReZero, I have read a little bit of the manga, basically the beginning of it. That's all I've got for it so far. Konosuba and Overlord, I've done reviews for both series. Overlord I actually reviewed 2 years ago. Yep. Great series to watch. And here's kind of the thing. Now, he was making these series, of course. Well, Tanya the Evil is made by a series called Newt. Overlord is made by Studio Dean. And now Overlord is made by Madhouse. And Konosuba is made by, well, Studio Dean. ReZero is made by, let's see if I can find the actual name of the studio. It is, because I've never watched the anime, but yeah, basically watching this makes me kind of interested. Yep. And the studio who makes the anime for this one is White Fox, the same studio who made, the same studio that made Goblin Slayer. Yep, the same exact studio. But I will eventually get to both those 2 series eventually. Episode 1 pretty much starts off with the cast of Overlord in their cowboy forms. Not the first time I've seen this. I've actually seen this in their actual shorts they have, where they're based. It kind of implies, in the case of Overlord's perspective, it takes place just prior to their major battle they had toward the end of Season 3 during the events of Book 9. So this kind of fills in that little, basically it's implied it takes place during a period of time. Of course, one thing you gotta love about this series is they make tons of references to each of the respective series. Like the references to ReZero, of course, not much for Konosuba per se, and as for Tanya the Evil, that one gets a ton of mentions in this one. This one, I've never watched Tanya the Evil, I never heard of it before I watched this one. Yep, so basically we also have in the kind of, basically Ain's basically preparing for the upcoming battle. Of course, they mentioned these mysterious magic buttons that pop up all over the place. And over in the Konosuba Ward, the 4 leads this series at their house to come back from the quest. Do not know when this takes place from their perspective. I only know Overlord's perspective because I know because I watched the series. Because they mentioned the whole thing about this being the Sorcerer King, about to start the country. So this is probably just before the major battle they had. That is my personal guess when that takes place. Konosuba could take place at any point in the series. I have no idea when. But, excuse me, probably after book 2 of the series because that's when they got their mansion they have. Yeah. So, basically, they come across the magic button, and who pushes it in Konosuba's world? Megumin! In Overlord, it's Ainz. And they end up in a classroom. Yes, well, actually, up in a field at a high school. Where this high school is, I have no idea. So they all go to class, and in the classroom, it's the cast of Tanya the Evil. Never seen these people before, and looking at these people like, man, this looks like an ultra version of World War II Germany, and I was right. I read up the description of the series, and yes, that's indeed true. And of course, they did make a reference what happened with Tanya, of how she became the way she is, where she apparently died, and of course mentioned being called Being X, and becoming the form of a sadistic little girl. Yeah. Of course, Monica Rial does a fantastic job voicing her. Becoming one of my favorite characters she's voiced, which is really good. Now, the ReZero characters, they come in right after these 3 come in. And it features, so the characters, they pop up here. Of course, it started, is Subaru, Emilia, Rem, Ram, Ram, and Beatrice. Beatrice, I've never seen this little girl before. The maids I have seen before because they pop up now and again. And of course, during the series, they do mention about Subaru's, like, where he keeps coming back, basically restarting from checkpoints. Yeah, that was a thing he did in the actual series itself, because I remember reading from the manga, where he would tentatively do that. But I think when it started, he may have not controlled it at first, but I think that later on, he did become control it. Oh, and by the way, where are the battle maids? Yeah, they don't show up till the second half of the season. Yeah, the battle maids from Overlord, they show up toward the end of the season, and they're in Class 1. Yeah, because the main class is Class 2. Yep, and where these people sit is quite interesting. Now, Konosuba basically is this. You have 4 seats. In front, you have Aqua, you have Kasumi, and behind Kasumi is Megami, and behind Aqua is Darkness. On the right, like, if I'm in a classroom, you see the entire cast. You see Tonya sitting in the second seat in the front, and as for the other ones, like Valkyria, she actually sits to her left, and I don't know the rest of the guys below the back. Now, in the case of the Overlord cast, they kind of take like kind of the middle. You have Ein sitting like almost like front center. To his right, it's Albedo. To his left is Shaltair. To just a little bit behind him is like just almost recognized as Dermage. You have Kaitis basically in the same row, and you have the 2 twin elf girls. Well, twins anyways, boy and girl. Though the boy dressed up as a girl and the girl dressed up as a guy. Yeah, they actually explain it and like, what? And behind them is the cast of ReZero. You have Ran, who is the pink hair maid. Rem, who is the blue hair one. You have Subaru. You have Emily, who is a silver hair woman, who is also half elf. And you have Beatrice. Yep, that's the arrangement for the class. It's quite interesting how they set this up. And you have this mysterious person who is Ramsha. I'm not sure what series he's from. Let me look up here. Let's see. Is it Rayhon? Wow. Let's see. I'm looking up to see what series he came from, because usually you have these characters pop up in different series and various roles. I think he might be a made-up character for the series, because I'm looking him up. I'm not sure who the heck voices him, because Reinhard. Let's see. Roz. Let's see. He's not from Tanya. I think he's just a made-up character for this series. Yep. So they all get sentenced to juice each other, and well, this is where they mention several things in the series. Now, first, it's believe it or not, it's ReZero who introduced himself first, which is quite interesting because they were the last ones to come in, and then it was Tanya's group, and then of course it came to Kurosawa, which introduced herself first, but before she finished her introduction, Kasumi's like, I'm Kasumi, this is Aqua, a useless goddess. You have the crazy Megami behind me, and over to my right is the sadistic Darkness. Yep. And of course, Ain's basically introduced himself, and of course, then we had the Floor Guardians introduce themselves, so it was Albedo introduced himself last. Yeah, it's great. ReZero basically is Subaru first, and then the maids, and then Emily, and then Beatrice. Of course, we also have their spirit cat, which apparently everyone can see. Yep. So they pretty much get introductions to class. They kind of look like they go through like rare class. Of course, they have some chatting. Of course, they have a colonel from the Taunting of the Evil series, who acts as one of the teachers. The principal is also from the Taunting of the Evil series, along with the vice principal. Yep, I'm not kidding about that. That's how they work out the series. And then they split these people into groups. Yep, before they do later stuff. Like, one group is basically, the rep is basically Emily. Makes sense, she's a daughter of a noblewoman. Vice rep is I think Albedo basically just behind him. We have the discipline committee made up of Tanya, Dofruit, which these two get along very well with each other, and Kasumi. Because why not? The librarians are Beatrice and the let's see, I think it's Mary, isn't it? Mary, yeah, it's Mary, basically. And you have the animal control, which is basically made up of Subaru and, well, Akuya, I think her name is. The gym committee is headed by Cerberus with Kaidos, with Darkness, the four male members of Tanya's group, and that's it for that group. The school nurse is Ren, which I thought was quite nice. And let's see what else. I think that's of course, apparently Dumfruge and Tanya got the same type of power where their voice basically force people to do whatever they want, which that's quite interesting. Where he tried to use this on Tanya and doesn't work, but it does work on Kasumi, which I think is so hilarious. Also, they have a thing with Tanya and Ein, which I thought was really cool. It's a really cool moment where basically when Tanya sees Ainz, he thinks because this is a he reincarnated as a girl. She thinks that this is being X, and she basically asks Ainz to have a conversation with her in the park, probably nearby. And he's like, "Are you being X?" He's like, "No, no, no, I'm not being X." And he mentions that I'm just the Lord of Death, and he mentions, "Are you by any chance from Japan?" And she says, "Yes." Yep. Yeah, I thought that was so cool. The fact that, then of course I mentioned the whole reincarnation, of course, brought it because video game. I thought that was really nice. Aqua brings up later on in the season when she confronts Tanya, Subaru, and Ainz. Mentions, "You're all from Earth, aren't you?" And they all admit, "Yep, we are." But no mention that they're all from, well, here's the thing, all three people are from Japan. But here's the thing, in the case of Ainz's case, his Japan has a toxic atmosphere. That is not a joke. I read about that online. And I'm like, really? No wonder why he likes hanging out in this world better than his own freaking world. It's, can't breathe there. Jeez. Okay. And, let's see. A lot of the characters get along really well in this series. I mean, of course, Aqua basically, when she first sees Ainz, she wants to freaking kill him. And she attacks him. And that's a mid-old spell. And of course he gets hit like, damn, I got freaking some pain. That's something. Oh yeah, in case you're wondering, does Kasumi find out that Albel is a succubus? He does. Toward the end of the season when they do the beach episode. Yep. His reaction is quite natural because he's had an encounter with a succubus before. Oh yeah, and Sheldon mentions she's a virgin. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. You probably save yourself for one guy you want." And of course, it's Ainz, a skeletal man. But nothing brought about Schulte here being a vampire. And apparently he has no reaction at all. I'm thinking though that he probably has read about vampires. He probably tells Schulte, "You're a vampire? Cool." Yeah, that's why he's never encountered them at all, which it's quite something. I'm talking about a lot of character interactions, but that's basically the basis of this series, is character interactions with these four big light novel series. Overlord is probably a little more bigger than a lot of the other ones, because that one basically has a lot of really cool characters, and I've seen what these characters look like in the regular animation. It's awesome. I can't wait for season 4 of the show. Konosuba, it's a great show. Yeah. But as for the cast of ReZero, well, in the case of Subaru, he gets along with Kasumi perfectly fine. Yeah, they become fast friends. You've referred to her as bro. Yep. Aqua, meanwhile, I'm not sure what committee she's involved with. Actually, she's involved with Animal Control. Yes, Animal Control, which she does nothing with. Yeah, here's the thing about her. She doesn't get well with anybody at all. In the case of Darkness, she gets along fine with all the guys. Megamine, who basically, when she had this little talent show episode, she showed off her explosion ability to destroy a bronze statue of Pandora's actor. Oh, in case you're wondering, does Pandora's actor show up in this series? Yes, he does. And he's one of the teachers. Yep. And of course, they show Class 1, which is made up of the Battle Maids, R- Ryan, he's a character. There's a character from Zero in here. Let's see, what's his name here? His name is Reinhardt. Yeah, he's a guy who can deflect anything. Oh yeah, and their class is headed by Veneer, which apparently Kasumi decided not to follow Subaru because he would identify him. Of course, now in the case of Tanya and Ainz following them, makes perfect sense because they're the protagonists of the respective series. Yep. And surprisingly, they don't show where these people are staying. We see Emily's room. Okay. I would have liked to see exactly where these people are staying. And the only time we don't show these characters outside the school is when Aqua decided to attack Ainz in the street. Yeah, and I'm sure Ainz basically is like, this place looks a lot peaceful than my home, my original home. And of course, they mention, oh, yeah, this is not the first this has happened to them when they went to another world. Yeah, for them, this is the second time this has happened. Yep, because they were in one other world in the original game. I think it was Yogg, I think you pronounced the game. And they went to the other world, which would basically be nice. Yep. And Aqua, of course, doesn't trust Ainzel because he's of the undead. Yeah, he may be a leech, but at least he's a good person. Yep. Don't Fruits basically. It seems like this guy has got the best lines of the entire series. This guy, it seems as though his voice actor is having a lot of fun. Like, I remember who's the guy who voices him? It is Jeff Johnson, which I'm so happy they had all the characters from Overlord who had the dub cast reprise all the characters. He looks like he's having a lot of fun with this character. Of course, Chris Guerrero, basically, who voices Ainz, like the whole cast of Overlord, like even though it's like normal for them to do this, but it seems like they're having a lot of fun. Like all the dub actors seem like they're having fun doing this series because they probably love it. They're interacting with other series aside from their own, despite the fact some of these guys have worked on these other series, but not with the intermingle like this. I did hear a rumor recently that apparently this series that Funimation would lose the license to dub the series, which I'm thinking that would be stupid because this is a great series. Yep, they have an episode. Of course, they have. In case you're wondering, because it's an anime, is there a beach episode? Yes, there is. And like the only female character we don't get a chance to see in a swimsuit is Shaltair and Rem. Everyone else sees swimsuits. Tanya, of course, does not wear like a swimsuit befitting her. She wears a school uniform swimsuit, which I'm thinking that's weird. Tanya, you do know you're in the form of a little girl. You can wear a regular swimsuit that's not school uniform. Also, they do stop, of course, Kasumi from peeping on the girls because that's one thing he likes too because it's a pervert. Subaru, it's not. I don't know if he's a pervert or not because, well, he from the stuff I briefly read about in the series, doesn't seem like he is a pervert. He's very much a gentleman. And here's the thing. He's in love with Emily, but Rem has got a crush on him. Rem is the blue-haired maid who basically is always close to him and always supporting him, while her sister really wants to kill him half the time. Also, Rem's got basically a mace with a chain, which Kaito's basically comments, so she's very good with that weapon. Because basically, from what I remember from the series of Overlord, Kaitos is pretty much he's pretty much the guy who is in charge of all stuff related to war when it comes to Ainzo Ghoul's Floor Guardians. Domifruge is a strategist. Albedo is just there because he's in charge. Shaltair basically commands sort of her own vampire stuff. Yep. Oh, in case you're wondering, is there a army undead that Ainzo was in the series? Yes, in the final episode. Yep. Yeah, and also they have another character from kind of pops up in here. It's Yunrin. Yep, she shows up here, and she's part of Class 3. Why the heck she's here? No idea. And where the heck is Class 3? Well, they're probably gonna show up in season 2. Trying to think. Oh yeah, they have a field at the close of the season where they have various things like track race. Oh, and the beach night, basically, like they have like barbecue fishing. The only new show was Courage, which I thought was really nice. And this one had 3 of the 4 main antagonists of the various series. Though Aqua is a female lead, she's not the main character of Konosuba, but it's great they have these two work together. They have these four work together. Yeah, it's interesting how and as in the case of backward people, it just seems like really they can't have interact with anybody else. Yeah, and also this really interesting. That was the scene where Katsumi fingers at Abel's succubus. That happens in a shop where it sells swimsuits, and of course, well, she and of course Abel and Chaltier were shopping for swimsuit for Ainz to wear. Oh, in case you're wondering, do they bother to show what swimsuit he wears? Nope, they don't. They don't show what swimsuit he wears. Delma Fruge, not surprising for him, wears a frickin' Speedo. Not kidding about that. Darkness wears a yellow swimsuit. Alberta wears a white swimsuit, which is not surprising because she wears white. So does Emily, which seems like she and Emily get along perfectly fine. They sound like these two barely interacted on this whole thing. Yeah. Rand basically is wearing a red swimsuit because of course she is. Velker's wearing a red swimsuit because her hair is red, obviously. And it's interesting though that her sister doesn't become a swimsuit. Now here's the thing about Chaltier. She's in the sun a lot of the time, and for some reason she doesn't burn up a sunlight because she hangs out in the nurse's tent because Ren's job is to school nurse. For some reason. I have no idea why they pointed her as school nurse for the fact that she has. I don't know if she has any medical experience at all because I haven't watched ReZero. I don't know. But as for the other characters from ReZero, aside from Subaru, Emily, and the two twin maids, the rest of the characters do not know who these people are because I haven't reached that far in the series. I've only read like the first couple volumes of the manga for ReZero. Tanya, of course, aside from Tanya herself, I don't get a chance to know who these people are that much in the series. And then the course comes to Field Day. Yep, where we have like a three-legged race. The last one is a cavalry battle, which is the second series I've seen this one in. You know, we have the four people on top of each other and have one basically have the headband. Now, in the case for class 2, it's the four leads of all series. You have Ainz in the middle. To his right, it's Kasumi. To his left is Subaru, and this is quite obvious. Tanya on top. And who are the other characters? You have You have Chris from Kasumi. While the other ones are from ReZero. You have Rainier, Julius, who apparently Subaru doesn't get along with very well, and some blonde woman. I don't think she's probably from ReZero. Yeah, I'm not really sure who this it's not Beatrice. Let's see. I'm not sure who this blonde woman is, because I personally never watched this, so yeah. Also, the battle maid, despite the fact they participate in this, they don't participate in the final cavalry battle. And then the principal's like, bring that in. And they press the button, and it's the Mobile Fortress from the Kasumi series. I'm like, was this thing destroyed, or was they just how magically probably another one? Kasumi knows what this thing is. And, by the way, who ends up destroying this thing? Well, and of course, we have a battle with teachers, where you have, in the middle, you have Pandora's active for some reason. I have no idea why. You also have, on top, you have the character who's a racer, Waswall. Yeah, I'm not sure what series this guy comes from because I'm looking up the cast of the characters because I know he's not from Overlord or basically Kasumi. I assume he's probably from ReZero, but he isn't. I'm sure he's just probably a character made up for this particular series. Yeah, he's on top. I think on the right. I'm trying to think where teacher was it. I think it might have been. Oh yeah, the major, the colonel who was one of the art teachers in the school. Yep. And of course, Roswell's got a headband in his head, and of course they're taken out by Class 1. And of course, well, thanks to some stuff, and of course, Subaru mentions his whole restart thing. Because apparently, when people die in this world, mentioned by Chris, people die, they stay dead because part of love was different. And of course, they try to use steel. I'm surprised he doesn't. And of course, when he mentions he's Chris, like we mentioned the whole thing of the abilities, Steel's like, hey, I stole your panties. And then she gets embarrassed by it. Because, in case you're wondering how many times he's doing the series from I watched, he did it twice. First time was when the first time he tried it. Because he thought he was going to steal her money or anything from her pockets. Nope, stole her panties. And he did the same thing with Megamind. Stole her panties as well. I'm surprised he didn't sniff it. Yep, of course he tried to use the steel balls, but that clearly didn't work. Yep. Eventually, Tanya is the one who takes out the spider. Well, in case does because someone used steel on the spider. Well, first try its headband, that doesn't work. So he uses it on a screw. Yeah, steal a screw. And Ein summons an army of the undead to protect the crowd, which is quite nice of him to do. Though Aqua feels cut to be protected by the army of the undead. Because of course she is. And eventually, Tanya is the one who defeats the spider. And then the thing ends with, okay, we have a new class coming in, and we won't reveal who they are until the start of the season. I gotta say, really fun series. I love all the character interactions in here. Can't wait for season 2, where they add 2 more casts this series. I'm thinking, though, maybe they should add Goblin Slayer. That would be interesting. Now, the other 2 series, I'm not gonna mention which ones they are, because Goblin Slayer, I'm really hoping that Goblin Slayer gets added one of this, because his interaction with Ainz would be so interesting. A lich and a guy who kills goblins for a living. Yeah, these two may or may not get along. I'm sure Priest is probably getting along with everybody. Yep. I'm sure the one person Priest is probably getting along with everybody here is probably Aqua. Yep, the only one I can think of. As the other people, they probably get along with it pretty well. Of course, Ainz might recognize the lizard man because of course, he's encountered the lizard man species before. As for the dwarf, well, he probably has heard about them. He's never encountered them before, that I can think of. Any other light novel series I can see them throwing in here? Now, those of you were wondering about the 2 series that we have in here, I'll discuss them when I talk about season 2, which I'll do next video. But one of whom, okay, the 2 series they added from season 2, Rising of Shield Hero, never watched it, and Cautious Hero, the hero is overly cautious. Yeah. Mostly it seems like a lot of fantasy-driven series are added this one. The only one I can think of that could add this thing is probably Goblin Slayer. Well, because also ReZero was made by Goblin Slayer, so I think these 2 interact perfectly fine. Yep, but in case you guys can think of like any other series aside from the 6 series already here, please put it forward in the comment below, because aside from Goblin Slayer, I can't think of any other fantasy series I would love to see interact well, because mostly these are from characters from light novel series, not from manga per se, but mainly from light novel series. Yep. In case you wonder about High School DxD, I highly doubt they'll work here, or Sister of the Testament to the Devil, or Actually the Rogue Hero. I highly doubt those 3 would ever interact with this, because, well, the most I say in modern day, though in that case because we're semi-future, mostly it's all fantasy-driven series. The only series I could possibly think of seeing interact with this is maybe Sword Art Online. Yeah. But in case you guys think of any, please put in the comments below, okay? But see you next video. Bye.